Tonight. So let's begin with introductions way down over here. Please say your name and the ward you're from.
Good evening. Good evening, Outdale Willow, Ward 17, the East Shore.
Jacqueline James, Ward 3, The Hill.
George Perez from Ward 5, the Hill section.
Andrea Jackson Brooks, Ward 4, Hill section.
Michael Sandman, Ward 28, Beaver Hills.
Yusuf Shah, Ward 23, Dwight, West River.
Nick Shaley, Ward 1, downtown.
Michelle Evans Poland, Ward 30, West Hills, West Rock.
Katrina Jones, Ward 21, New Hall Mill.
Drew King, Ward 22, Dixwell Avenue.
Bitsy Clark, Ward 7, Downtown New Haven.
Ina Silverman, 25 in Westville.
Gerald Tunes, 12, Quinnipiac.
Roland Lamar, 9, East Rock.
Alex Revine, Ward 13, Fairhaven Heights, Overcross, Class of 93, Go Governors.
Tom Layton, Ward 27, Westville.
Carl Goldfield, Ward 29, Beaver Hills.
Migdalia Castro, Ward 16, Fairhaven.
Mike Smart, Ward 8, Worcester Square.
You taking the time to come out and talk to us on this very important matter. This is an ordinance amendment to the curfew that is already on the books in the city of New Haven. And instead of going through a long description of this.
Mayor again, 17 years old, a senior at Hill Regional Career High School. And I'm here tonight, the president of the Board of Young Police Commissioners. Basically, we're here to voice our opinion on the curfew. As a board, we've concluded on the curfew that it should be only enacted as a last resort. If so, there should be some modifications to it. We say truancy officers should be hired from 10 to 6 a.m. the time of the curfew. Along with that, just as a truancy officer does his job at school time 7 to 3, the same manner, they would do it from 10 to 6. One for every district, as the city is broken down into 10 districts, one for every district is fine. The truancy officer would not be any different from that during school time. Their jobs consisting of, at the time, identifying the youth and giving them, the youths outside, and giving them one warning. If found again, taking down their information such as name, address, phone number, school, and reason for being outside. After 3 sightings of the youth, we think a DCF worker should be informed, whereas the task of them would be able to go to the house and find out why is the youth outside at that time. Other than that, besides the curfew is not enacted, we agree, as many students said last night, on different activities we should have. Such as the Q House being reopened, opening community centers, such places as an open field and in front of Career High School, also in Fairhaven, and lastly involving Power Back, such as when the housing police was around, where they had different programs such as bowling teams, basketball, swimming, baseball, many ideas.
Thank you. That was for places.
Right, I mentioned there's an open field right in front of Career High School, and also in Fairhaven.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Kathleen, and basically I'm against the.
I think you'll have to speak directly into the mic and speak a little slower so people can hear you.
I said my name is Chandra, and I go to William Academy. And I said that basically I'm against the whole curfew thing because I don't think that it scares the teens that don't get in trouble. And we have nothing to do, everything is getting shut down, and we have no opportunities. Like maybe if we had more stuff to do and everything stopped being shut down, it wouldn't be so much violence.
Can you give us an example of what has been shut down?
Like the Q house, every time we have parties, the cops always come in telling the parties to stop, like stuff like that. We can't go places like the farm. We can't go there and play basketball, you gotta pay. It's nothing like we can do. So we as kings have nothing else to do but to be in the streets.
Activities do you think you and your friends would come to and participate?
You know, like dances, like stuff like that, basketball, arts and crafts, stuff like that. Stuff that teens are interested in.
Okay, thank you very much.
My name is Chelsea Cannon, and I'm against the curfew because, like John said, it's not fair to those who don't do nothing. Honestly, I think I can see why you're doing this because of the violence. It has been a lot of violence, but I think if you focus more on what's causing the violence and where kids are getting guns and crack from, you wouldn't have to worry about our curfew. But instead of worrying about so much as when we should be going in and when we need to be going to bed and stuff, we need to focus on who's doing this, who's doing that. And when you first started, I pointed out when you said the curfew would be for 17 and younger. But if you think about it, a lot of this violence comes from kids who are like teenagers who's 17 and up. And I just think we need to focus on that too. And I think for the, more or less for the opportunities and activities, I think it should be like, there's a lot of, most of the violence comes from boys, and since I got brothers, I kind of think like them. I think a lot of the basketball courts need to be open inside because it's getting too cold for boys to be outside. And for girls, do something like in the school, like when they did it at John Martinez, they had a girls' night, and that got shut down. You got to pay for everything, so it's not fair anymore. So I really think like we need to focus more on everything else other than our curfew, because if you focus on that, then you wouldn't really need to focus on our curfew. That's all I have to say.
Other questions?
Why do you think youth are involved in the activities that they're involved in as far as violence is concerned?
And like the pressure with school and the pressure with us being called haters and stuff, there's nothing else for them to do but do stuff that they ain't got no business and they do stuff to keep them busy. And violence, honestly, between fighting and shooting keeps people busy. And I think if you do open up more opportunities, they won't have to lower themselves to have to do with stuff that don't, you know.
Thank you.
I'm opposed to any curfew, and I think that this one especially doesn't function well and won't serve the community at all, and its only effect will be to hinder civil liberties. And the fact of the matter is, the image that stuck out for me in thinking about this was, if you're stopped and asked to produce something that says you're 18 or under, that's producing papers, and that's the authority being able to ask you, regardless of any circumstances that you're engaged in, to produce something and to show something and to have documentation. And it doesn't seem right. It reminds me of Holocaust images. It reminds me of less civil and less liberal times. Furthermore, I feel like this is going to be something that's really easy to evade. I don't think it'll work very well. I don't think police will be effectively able to stop youths and or gauge what their age is or even be that active. And I understand why this is being imposed. I understand that these are fairly dangerous times, relatively speaking. But in making parents be accountable for their kids and forcing them to do that just out of fear and for laws and for rules and for fines, I don't think it'll change much. I think it's attacking the policy and not trying to change it at its core. And I think it'd be more effective to implement programs. Lamont had a pretty good policy of he recommended subsidizing daycare for young parents. I think that's a much more effective way to not have parents working as hard, out doing jobs, and being able to spend more time with kids. Policies like that, instead of saying to parents, your kid must be here, you must know where they are, and you must monitor them. You're not enforcing values, you're enforcing a law that doesn't seem to take into account anyone's. I mean, I disagree strongly.
Are there any questions?
They're national issues. and those need to be dealt with on a national level. But very specifically to local government, the authority that the aldermen have, what exactly can we do in the way of legislation, if there is such a thing, that can stop the violence? I mean, is there...
I didn't provide answers, I'm sorry. I'm not sure. I would...
It's in reference to, you see that, kids that are working, kids that are in the after-school programs, and I hear, more after-school programs, more activities. But if in instances you find that there's kids out there that are not involved in anything, or would like not to be involved, shows like pushing it towards the ones that are really at risk, what would you recommend?
Like I said, I don't think a curfew is the answer at all. I don't think that there's anything that you can do to this piece of law to make it affect those kids. I don't think it affects those kids. If you have enough moxie to go pick up a gun, I don't think you have any sort of respect for a curfew. You talk about respect in this. If there's no respect for human life, what respect is there for a law with a $75 fine? I think that those are the kids that you have to go after, certainly. But this is not the way to do it. It's instead by getting them involved early and not forcing programs upon them to get them to be busy, but instead motivating them to do something. And I'm not sure what the answer is. I don't think there's one answer. I think our whole system is kind of messed up in the way that we've allotted so much more money. Within the school alone, you've got monies lately going to either AP programs or athletics. And so there's a whole middle neglected in terms of finances and extracurriculars and anything like that. So not just shutting a club in somebody's face, but instead sort of getting at what they want. We've neglected the middle, I feel.
My name is Sadi Bobby. I'm 17, I go to Cross, and I'm opposed to the curfew because I feel that it's taking away our rights. And I have a question: who's my older woman or older man from Elm City neighborhood?
Which neighborhood?
Elm City.
Where do you live? What street do you live on?
Edgewood Avenue. Edgewood Avenue. No, honestly, I've never seen her in my neighborhood, and I feel like if you're gonna try to combine the neighborhood and you're gonna try to take control of the neighborhood, you should be able to walk and talk to the kids and the students in the neighborhood and try to figure out first, then to come out of the community, then talk. But I feel like you guys have, I don't know if you guys, but a number of community items have been closed down, like everybody else has said, and we no longer have a downtown to go to. We no longer have a mall. We don't have a movie theater. We don't have things that usually teens go to get along. And if you feel that if we are always outside and we get tired of each other or things like that, violence is gonna occur. And it's like, what can we do? We can try to open up community projects for the community and have the kids come together in a positive way. Because it seems like we're always talking about how bad we are. So it's like, if you keep telling the kids they're bad, they're gonna act bad. So it's like, come together and talk to the kids like you guys are doing, and talk in a positive way to us and about us, so we can act in a positive way. And that's really it. And have a downtown, propose them all, seriously, we have nowhere to go downtown. Downtown, I remember when I was younger, I used to go downtown all the time to the mall. There's no longer a mall. We have to go to Milford, where I feel that they don't want us there. So it's like, where can we go but be in the streets and fight each other and shoot each other?
I would love to see high school students put together a business plan for the bowling alley, or the movie theater, or the something you want, and I'm sure there are people out there, your aldermen and your teachers, who can find some funding and some backing and make it happen.
So it's like, okay, we're gonna come up with a business plan, but who's gonna look at it?
Well, one of the things I suggested last night, but it seemed like Metropolitan Business School was the place place to start. But certainly Cross has very talented students. And there are your civics teachers. If y'all happy to give you my card, I'll help you write one.
Wow.
But I think it's a great idea to get kids involved and learn something about how a business works. Absolutely.
Okay. I think I'll do that. Can I have a card?
My concern, there's two real issues that seem to be emerging as the youth have come forward. The youth who've spoken have been articulate, they've come prepared, they've on the spot come up with intelligent answers to the questions about what solutions might be. But it seems to me that the youth who are coming to speak, the youth who are expressing their frustration at the lack of activities, are quite frankly the ones who are not as inclined to pull out a weapon on a 13-year-old and open fire. And so we have the very real issue of making sure that our youth who are looking for activities, positive activities, have a place to go. That's certainly one part of this. But the area where I'm lacking and need some information, and this is for anyone who comes to speak or anyone who's spoken, like to speak again, for the child out on the street right now who has access to a weapon or is carrying a weapon, whose first thought is that I will pull the trigger as a result of any confrontation, is there anything we can do to bring them in, to engage them beyond arresting them? And this is, but I'm seeing that there's two components. One is creating activities, and one is going to be part of the law enforcement program for the hardcores who I don't think would respond to opening up even a business or something. So that's something I'd like to put out there.
So my view of the law enforcement is that half of it, I feel like they don't care about me. They don't care what I'm doing. Because half of them are coming out, they seem like they more harass me than protect me. It feels like they're being pushed in their mind that we're bad already. So it's like, okay, we have to treat them like every team is bad. So if it's like you have to, I don't know what you can do in the law enforcement unless you have programs for cops, I guess, on the streets. Because you don't see that many cops come up to them, hey, how was your day today? What are you doing? Like, where do you want to go? Like, they just don't move, go home. Okay, half the kids don't have homes to go to because their parents are doing whatever, and their kids, it's like, being outside is you feel more of a family with your friends. And maybe it is past 10 o'clock, but that's having that friendship, having that love that you don't get at home is why kids are out late. And not all kids are out late shooting and doing drugs or whatever you guys are saying.
If you know someone who, when you're out, you may spend time with, who might be inclined towards violence, do you think that there's something that we could offer? Do you think if you said to them, hey, there's this great program I'm in, it's basketball, it's putting together a business plan, it's running a business, do you think that there's a way to draw them in? Or do you think that it's just a matter of that once they've reached the point where violence is believed to be the only solution, they're lost to us?
I think yes, because a lot of kids would be like, okay, I don't have to do this. I can just go to a program or I can do something to curb my violence. Because it seems when you have programs, violence goes down. And having a curfew is just telling someone to go in the house. That really doesn't say stop the violence. It's just saying go in the house at 10. There still is going to be violence. Just like it happened at 4:30. There's no time period on when violence is going to happen. It's going to happen. Law enforcement, I guess you can say, is the only way possible way that can help curb the violence in programs. But it was 4:30. What can you say? We can't go outside at 4:30 now? It's like really no possible way unless you just sit there and come up with a perfect plan, like business plan and solutions and programs to help curb the violence instead of just telling someone to go in the house. And I have one more thing is I think you guys should enforce some gun laws because it's not the kids it's the availability of guns. You can get a gun anywhere, and I feel like there should be some laws or something put in place to stop these gun productions and where the guns are available. That's where we should be going at first, because that's what's killing people. Guns are killing people, not people. So it's like you should have some stricter gun laws and how to obtain a gun. Then we should work on how teens should stop violence with each other.
And your last point, I think, is crucial, that ultimately the real ambassadors to the youth out there who are committing these crimes are going to be you all, because you're their peers. And that message coming from an adult, a non-parent, an authority figure, a police officer may not resonate in the way that you all can. So that'll be, I suspect, part of the solution is expecting you all to take this message forward if we provide the resources for you. So I appreciate you coming to speak.
The police feel that all the kids are bad. They see a group of kids, they're bad, and the cops don't care about you. You kind of group all the kids together, you kind of grouped all the cops together. And many times what we try and do is teach the kids that cops are supposed to be your friends, supposed to be people that help you. And it seems like you have a kind of negative idea of that. What I'd like to offer you is an opportunity to speak to Mr. Colon. Mr. Colon in the back? He's a member of the Board of Young Adult Police Commissioners. I think he can tell you a lot about police and interaction and even some of their training. Would you be willing to talk to this gentleman later on? I asked that you talk to him sometime during the night before you leave.
Okay, well, to go on that, I feel because there's cops that do that. There are cops out there that target only teens or young teens, and it's like we have to attack that and get them to think differently about how teens act, and a group of teens doesn't automatically mean something's going to happen.
You're absolutely right, but there's one flaw in policing, and I'm sure you find it many other places, that when you recruit police officers, unfortunately, we have to recruit from the human race. We make mistakes. There are good cops and bad cops. There are good teachers and bad teachers, good lawyers and bad lawyers. So you have to find a way, as you said, maybe training with the police officers, but still on the other side of the community, be it kids or adults, to learn to understand others.
Thank you very much. I think Ina wants to give you her address.